Yet?
Heads up, we're going live, guys.
Well, hold on.
Hold on. We're streaming live.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Gary Williams Stole My Lawn Furniture. Today we have the glorious Ryan Ripken from the Ryan Ripken Show on his set. It looks like the NBA Jam Machine's right behind him. I was going to ask you, is the NBA Jam Machine functional, and who's the best in the on the pod?
Oh yeah, well, hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad we finally could get this going, and I feel way more relaxed in the seat. I know why the guys on my crew want to be over this way. It's nice. The NBA Jam, it is fully functional. It's a lot of fun. I think I'm up there with competition, but Brad and Zach have the most competitive games. We'll put it that way. So yeah, no, we're trying to make this studio a living studio, meaning whatever you see around here is what you can use. Imagine when we get some TVs up in here, Brian. You got to come back for that.
Oh yeah, man. It's a great spot.
Yeah, I'm glad you could be here.
Yeah, we got Brian over in the Ripken studio. We also have our buddy Sean Foy on. If you guys aren't familiar with Sean, he's been on a couple of our shows before. Huge Orioles fan as well.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Former Orioles employee, Masson employee as well. So he's got some connections with the Orioles as well. And we also got pretty much we've got an MIAA rivalry going on in this screen right now.
This really is.
We got Calvert Hall, Gilman, and St. Paul's all in one screen, all getting along for a little while.
Give it time. I got a long reach. All right.
For those of you who are not aware, Ryan's Gilman team actually beat my Calvert Hall team in a championship at Ripken Stadium, which was a little unfortunate for me. There was a rain delay in the middle of that game that I think somebody called in the heavy hitters for. But
oh my goodness!
I'm just messing, obviously.
No, I know, and I get it. I'd be upset too if you blew a 5-0 lead in the. God. Or what was, I think one of the innings, I forget, unfortunately, is a couple errors that let us just squeak on by. And then I stuck my ass out and hit a ball down the line for a double. And then I held on for dear life when Brian Willis was pitching. So, hey, you guys win all the time, man. You got to give us one, right?
Well, back then we did, but not so much anymore. I don't know anymore, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Dusty, were you one of those errors? You better not have been.
No, actually, I wasn't playing in that game. I think I was only a sophomore at the time when we played Gilman in that championship game. So I was not playing. I was going to be riding the pine for another year and a half.
So actually, I'm friends with Pat Fitzgerald. So I bring up the Fitz every time. So Fitzy, though, each time he goes, I'm surprised you don't bring it up. I said, I think you bring it up more than me, man, because we'd play pickup basketball together. And there's a photo of him and Cam Lauf, the catcher, almost colliding at home. And I think Fitz got tossed that game at the end too on so good times. But if it makes you guys feel any better, we went 15-1 my senior year in the conference, dominated everybody, and then absolutely fell apart for the playoffs. And then Calvert Hall went on, I believe, to win the championship. So
that was also my senior year.
You're welcome.
Oh, so you guys are the same year? You guys were the same year?
2012. Yep.
Oh, well, shit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hurts. That hurts.
Yeah, we lost two at Ripken, and then we won my senior year.
I'm glad you guys could figure it out. Glad you guys could figure that out in the end.
Yeah, we got there eventually. Hey, but we're here to talk about some Orioles baseball. We're having a great season so far. We're going to do a little weekend review. We always do that to start the podcast. We were 3-2 this week, split a 2-game set in DC with the Nats, and then won the weekend series home for the Diamondbacks. What stood out to you guys just in this past week, overall? Ryan, we'll toss to you first.
Oh, hey now. All right. Well, I'm a big believer. The motto that I have is win series and avoid sweeps. If you do that enough consistently, you're going to be a really damn good team. And the Orioles have done that really ever since Adley Rutschman was called up, right? That is the moment in time where you can look at the team and go, damn, that's where things started to change. Now, over the last year and a half, 2023 into this season, they've done a lot of that. And honestly, I'm really happy with what they've done. I mean, look, the Nationals series was an interesting one to say the least, but you find a way to split with them. And they're a scrappy team right now with a lot of young talent, probably a couple years away from taking that next step. But for Baltimore, it's the different ways that they're finding to win. So in that Nats game, you blow the lead, you go to extras, you hold them off, you find a way. And then against the Diamondbacks, you kind of take control, close out the game, and then you come back in game 2 and you wash away it. So I'm really happy with how it is. And I think the thing that I love the most, I think this pitching staff from bullpen to starting rotation is just tremendous right now. So I'm feeling good. And obviously it doesn't matter now because you got to move ahead to face a rival, which I guess is a new rivalry right now in Baltimore with the Blue Jays. So should be a fun series.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you're a little different from people on Twitter. I think I tag Ryan in a bunch of shit, and I'm like, hey, are you as fed up? Are you as fed up with this bullshit as I am? Because I'm so sick of hearing about people bitching. Like everyone's they just jump, like they just want to get rid of everybody after one bad outing or a couple bad outings. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm super. Obviously, the bullpen's not going to be as good as it was last year. We don't have the best closer in baseball, so it's not going to be there. We're putting a Band-Aid on it with a Hall of Famer, which is nice. Past his prime, we all know it. He knows it. So I mean, the guy's still gonna sit there and help us out. So I mean, like you said, I'm pretty happy with where we're at, and we do not need to be peaking right now. I mean, we're just getting into May. So this was the issue. I think we talked about this last year. I mean, obviously before we even had the podcast that, man, maybe we're peaking a little early. And maybe we did. So I'm glad that we still got some stuff to work on and some stuff to work towards.
Yeah.
Brooks, are you typing in bird noise? Are you like Augusta?
I wish I was. I mean, it kind of feels like we're like right on the course at where they do the Heritage, and I'm like, I thought this was all fake, but it's like Dustin had to go inside because it echoes out here. But yeah, you can hear the birds.
I think I've got a bird's nest in like right outside my window too, so that might be it too. You know, just nature throughout Canton. You know,
I can't hear it in your trucker.
I mean, to expound on what Ryan said, I'm going to disagree with Ryan a little bit. The bullpen still scares me. You know, bringing the bomb in. I mean, he's got electric stuff, but he can't find it. I'd rather have Dylan Tate up here. And Kimbrel, obviously, we just talked about his past prime. You're not paying a guy to be 6 years younger, but it just scares me a little bit. But you're right. We're not peaking yet. I don't want to peak because if we peak now, we're not going to peak later. And so I would agree that I'm happy with where we are. Starting rotation has been fantastic, but the bullpen scares the hell out of me.
Yeah. Kimbrel this week, last 7 appearances, four innings, 4 1/3 innings, 12.46 ERA. But he did pitch a couple times this week pretty well. He pitched in the 7th on Friday. I think Hyde. They were saying on the broadcast that Hyde talked to him before the game and asked him if he would be okay pitching in middle relief, late relief, setup role kind of thing, and he said he was good for it. So he pitched in the 7th inning Friday, scoreless inning. Pitched in the 11th inning Saturday, got the win in a scoreless inning in that crazy extra inning game. So yeah, I mean, obviously, look, we kind of said before the season, we said, look, we're throwing a Band-Aid on Felix Bautista. We're just kind of hoping for the best. And look, he's going to have up and down weeks, and this is a long season. It's a grind. You can't get mad every time somebody has a bad outing. It is a little scary though. Sean, what do you think about the bullpen situation so far?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of piggyback on what you guys said. I mean, I'm pretty pumped about everything about the team. The rotation's taking the next step. The fact that Burns' worst outings are like going 5 2/3 and giving up 2 or 3 is just awesome. Like a bad Corbin Burns is like a number 2 starter on our team for the last 10 years. So bullpen has been up and down, but I mean, it's not great right now, but it's May. You know, I don't think, you know, Mike Elias didn't ask me for my opinion in the offseason, but I'm going to assume when they got Kimbrel, like I've always assumed Kimbrel is there to just kind of get you through the season. I think everyone probably knew he's probably not the guy saving, you know, 4 of 7 games in October. You're probably going to need to go get a stud at the end of the summer anyways, but he can get you through most of the season. And this is just kind of the Kimbrel experience. He's going to be up and down, and you know pretty quickly whether he's got it or not. And if it was 3 years ago and you could get him out quickly, that might help. But that's just how Kimbrel is at this point. I think he's got a lot of value. I don't expect him to be closing Game 5 of the ALDS in October. I think that will probably be someone else, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think they can get you through the dog days of the summer, and they'll probably do some matchups where Coulomb closes some games, Cano does. I remember last year Perez got a couple opportunities right when Bautista got hurt, so I'm sure they'll kind of piecemeal it for a little while. And even if they decided they need to go get someone, it's May. There's not many teams punting now and trading stud closers, in 2 months. That's probably different. But, if our worst thing we're dealing with is, everything's perfect except the 9th, that's a good problem to have. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see. And we'll see. Because, Kimbrel, it's early still, guys. So we'll see.
Hey, Brooks, can I enlighten some people right now, since this is what I like to do? Where do you think where do we think the Orioles bullpen stays right now, ranks in baseball?
I think it's probably in the top third still. I think their numbers are still pretty good.
I put this out recently. Yeah.
I was going to say around 10, somewhere around 10.
You took the number out of my head, 10.
The Orioles are 8th in team bullpen ERA. They're top 5 in team ERA total for the season. And specifically with Kimbrel, do you guys want to guess what his ERA was after the first 11 outings of the year?
And also this time last year, we were 7th. So we're, just to give you some context.
I would guess under 2, his first however many outings.
His first 10 or 11 outings were fire. He was awesome.
It's Monday. Make me feel good.
So 11 outings. In his 11 outings, he had one blown save, which was his first outing of the season against the Royals, which I thought he pitched really well.
Yeah, he had some bad luck in that one.
He had 7 saves, a combined 2 walks over 11 innings. The strikeout numbers, if I read this correctly, I believe he had 17 strikeouts, 2 walks, and a .82 ERA heading into that Oakland series. So if Kimbrel –
Is it a rough May?
Right. So when I look at this, and I'm not going to objective and say, hey, Kimbrel was great. He wasn't. There's no denying that. When you look at the physical side, the mental side, whether it's the combination of the both, I definitely thought the mental side, especially, we might not even be having this conversation if he gets out of that outing against the Nats, where he got the 2 outs and he gave up a homer after throwing strike 1. And then it was like, holy shirts and pants, dude. Then it kind of fell apart for him. And you could see mentally it was messing with him. So I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be the answer in the future, but I think this is the part where you got to let things ride because it is May. I'm going to trust that he can figure it out. If he was terrible from the start, I'd go, you know what? The value is scary here. The value's there, but I don't know. We don't have to decide right now if he's going to be the closer in September, October.
Right.
And I do believe that the Orioles come July, if they're like, you know what do we have here? They'll go out and get someone if they think so, but I'm still hanging with my guy, Craig Kimbrel, at the moment.
Now's not the time. Now's not the time.
Well, no, now's not the time whatsoever. But that hard hit percentage number, that whatever, I don't know that statistic. It's a sabermetric, but that hard hit stat scares the hell out of me. It's like 80% of the balls that get hit off him are mashed. And that's not good.
Yeah, his K numbers are really good.
To 16. Yeah, it's on a 16 hopper to the second baseman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
On the flip side,
figure it out.
And also, everyone's calling. Well, a lot of people are calling for Cano to be the closer and everything like that. And if we're going to sit here and go stats, right? Cano's like 9 for 18 in his career. In closed situations. So
his stats in the 7th and 8th inning versus the 9th
I love the guy.
Are staggering. He's a very good player and obviously super valuable, but he's not proven that he can handle the 9th inning. So obviously, I want to keep giving him opportunities and get learning experiences.
And I would say the last 2 to 3 outings that he's been in the 9th and close or closer to close situations, he's been great. The samples, like we sit here and say, like, and Bauman, right? We talked about this with Bauman too. The guy's got electric stuff. Are we willing to DFA a guy that's throwing upwards of 99, 100 miles an hour with electric curveball and everything like that? that has proven to be a great reliever in the beginning of the season. Last year, 10-1, because he's had a rough couple weeks. I mean, the jumping off a bridge off of these small little sample sizes is a little bit ridiculous. So, I mean, now's the time that Hyde's trying to piecemeal it too right now, right? I mean, so, I mean, again, we're the second best team and third best team in baseball. So what are we complaining about?
I feel like we say it every week. I mean, this is an embarrassment of riches, and we're just we're really complaining about nothing.
It's the best problem to have, right? Like this is the thing where people go, we gotta go get Mason Miller first off. Stud.
Yeah, who we give it?
Stud. Team control. He's like, hey, here's 102 right down the dick.
Yeah.
Try to hit it. You know it's coming. Soto, Judge, Gunner. Sorry, Gunner.
Yeah.
But he's saying try to hit it. And so like a guy like that with team control, a lot you got to give up. So the thing that I actually love about this situation is that because Kimbrel's struggling, let these guys get put into high stress, high leverage situations because you got to figure out who you're going to need when you move into September. Cano, I think, learned a valuable lesson last year. And actually, fun fact here, Cano had more blown saves after Felix Bautista went down than Craig Kimbrel had blown saves all of last season.
That's
I know
great. That's great stuff.
It's different context, but
That's a great test.
so Craig already has 4 blown saves this year. Obviously, it's documented, but the context of it, you need to figure out when things are going to get chaotic and the stress levels are going to be high, who you trust. Looks like Danny Coulombe's in that role. He feels like he's comfortable. Jacob Webb has gone and shown some great moments. But so if the Orioles are going to go at the deadline, they're going to have to sit there and go, all right, who do we have trust in? Who's available? What's the price? And then make a decision. And a guy like Mason Miller right now, for those saying, like, you got to give up the farm to get a high leverage guy like that. And the Orioles are like, no. We'll play it safe. We'll wait. And I think it's a great opportunity for the guys that they have.
And I like artificial. I'm not saying artificial. I like adversity early in the season.
Yep, I agree.
Give me the adversity now because you're going to deal with it in the postseason. I want it. I don't think we really had it last year because I'm not saying we put it on cruise control, but we were so good last year. I want us to have problems, and we're having problems.
There wasn't much late game adversity because you knew when Bautista was in there, it was, pretty much over. But use the next few months to figure out what role you want Cionel Perez to be in. Figure out, if Webb can be a late inning guy for all year. I think last year was his career high in innings pitched in a while, and it was like 33. So see if he can figure out the workload. Figure out if Suarez is someone that can be in your bullpen late game, legitimately, or use the next few months to figure out what you need. And then I'm sure even if everything works out, they'll still find a way to get someone. Like last year, the bullpen was awesome, and they still went and got Fuji. It didn't work out great, but they were still looking for someone.
Fuji. Oh man,
yeah, that would have been such a great pickup if that worked out. Electric stuff.
You got Tyler Wells coming back at some point. You're gonna need a spot for him. Maybe that's when Bauman. Things might get a little dicey on with him at that point, but you don't need to make a move now. So let them try and figure it out.
Well,
plenty of time for that too.
So one thing I want to say with that is that we don't know when all these guys are going to come back. Totally. Like we know Grayson. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I haven't seen any update on Wells. Have you guys?
He's in Sarasota and he's not even throwing yet. I think he's a while. I mean, he's going to be
that's scary.
June, July thing. I think. Yeah, he's not even. Doesn't sound like he's close.
So this is the thing that's going to pop up. Is what we're saying. So it's like, figure out what's going to happen. And again, like Bauman, I've known him every single year. I was actually in his wedding. Him and I guess you could say we're pretty tight. So
I would say that's pretty tight. Yeah, I'm just gonna throw it out there.
So I am so bullish on him because I know his talent, but I'm objective too. The reality is, and he knows it's a business driven where you got to put together more consistent outings. Stuff wise, it can rival anyone on the team. And when you see him go 2 1/3 innings the other night, keep the team in the game and really put up zeros, that makes you think, all right, it's all right there. And this is why you need to kind of stretch it out. And Tate, even though he's in the minors, Tate's still trying to get back to being Tate. And I think he could have stayed up in the bigs. He's had options. So it's a game within a game, as we all know here. So this is a good problem. I'll tell you what, though, I'd rather talk about these problems and the Orioles be on top of the division instead of thinking like, you know what, season's over in May. what pick are the Orioles going to have, and when's the rebuild going to end? You know,
I'm glad you brought up Tate because I wanted to talk about this. Tate, even though Tate performed while he was here, but did everybody feel like? I mean, I'm watching Tate and I'm like, his stuff doesn't look great right now, to be honest with you.
His advanced numbers were not great.
I mean, what does that mean?
He had a good ERA, but like his velo was down. I think his FIP was way higher than his ERA. Like I think his numbers look better than he'd been. But he's one of a few guys that's got options. So, if someone else had an option, they probably would have gone down. But
numbers look good. Stuff doesn't look great, to be honest. That's the takeaway I took. Because everybody was all up in arms when he got sent down, and they were like, "Well, that's just DFA Bauman." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" So that's another thing. And you were talking about Miller, Ryan. I think we have a better chance of going after Hader with how bad the Astros are right now and how bad they look at the moment. Unless they do a severe 180 right now, they do not look like a team that wants to even play baseball at the moment. So. We'll
I would
see.
think if we're going to trade for somebody from Houston, it would be more likely Ryan Presley, who was their closer last year. He was a really good player last year, and they added to their embarrassment of riches in the bullpen with Hader. Hader just signed that 5-year, $80 or $90 million deal with them. I don't think they're going to be looking to move him because even if this season is kind of like a hell year for them, I think in the next couple of years they're still going to be trying to compete because they still have one of the best lineups in baseball. So you also have to have a really great partner. Like you can say if you want Mason Miller, you can say you want Mason Miller, but maybe Oakland's like we want to keep Mason Miller. He looks like a stud.
I want Prime Mariano as well. So I mean, we can all get
one on the lottery.
So.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on from the bullpen.
Yeah, we're moving on from the bullpen. We have to. We can talk in circles on this one.
I want to talk about Jordan Westburg putting together an all-star third base season out of a lot of speculation in the offseason, a lot of Orioles fans at least saying, look, we have a loaded infield. We probably don't have room for this guy. And he's just been Mr. Consistent for us. He's second among third basemen, AL third baseman. This is from Cam Bryce. Second in average, second in slugging percentage, second in WRC plus, third in home runs, second in RBIs, OPS, first in F4. I mean, this guy's
is that good?
Our third baseman. Is that good?
Do they rank mustaches in the major leagues?
I think we should put out a list.
Do they rank them?
I mean, I think we should put out a list.
He's so underrated. He's been consistent, and the fact that he's bouncing back and forth between second and third is like, a lot of people don't realize how hard that is for someone who's not a 10-year vet like that. That's pretty impressive in itself. He's just hitting everywhere you put him. For like a team that's just stacked with young studs, that were top 5 picks, it almost seems like he was a steal and he was still a first-round pick. Like he's just so easy to root for. He's been awesome.
While we're on this topic, it's still baseball, I have a trivia question for all you guys.
Okay.
Well, hey now.
We can soak on it.
There we go.
How many MVPs did Babe Ruth win?
Oh, wow.
Well, shit.
I think I have a guess.
Fire away. That's the point of the trivia question, man.
0. I don't think was the MVP announced, or was it a thing back then?
0 is incorrect.
Brian, could you sound more hungover right now?
Leave me alone. The deep voice.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, do you have any specific thoughts on Westburg? Are you in the same boat as us? Just excited about where he is right now as a player.
Well, I'm gonna table this trivia question for a second and let that marinate.
Do you know it?
I don't, off the top of my head. No, I don't. I don't have the random baseball stats memorized. Surprisingly, everyone thinks growing up a Ripken, I should know every possible thing. But I'll tell you what, I do feel like I got a pulse on a lot of guys.
Why do they think that?
I don't know. Why You know what's funny? I will say this: if I knowing the game, if I hated the game of baseball, I promise you I was still gonna know the game of baseball. I love the game of baseball, but that's just how much is ingrained in my family. So I watch it, I study it, and even with the times that I'm like, Dad, I don't want to talk about a secondary lead in the third inning with 1 out and where the cutoff man has to be specifically, blah 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 blah. Now I have it ingrained, and now I'm thankful for it because I watch the game differently. And now this kind of leads into Jordan Westburg. So I got to spend a lot of time with Westy in 2021 coming out of COVID. There were 6 or 7 position players, and I'm sorry if I'm missing a guy, but it was in spring training. There was me, Adley, Gunnar, Taryn Vavra. I know I'm going to miss another one, but then Jordan Westberg was, and Maverick Hanley, a catcher, but Jordan Westberg, for this story. And Westy, from the moment he took a live batting practice AB off of one of the pitchers on the backfield, I remember I was putting some pine tar on my bat. I had my head down, and I just hear this whack, and I'm like, what the hell was that? And it's just this missile that hits dead center. I'm like, damn, that is loud. That just sounded way different. Now, Gunnar Henderson is also a different breed. I could talk about that for a while. But Westy was a guy then that I followed, and I saw him, how he moved. I always thought he sneaky could even play shortstop because that's what he was. I thought he is so dynamic, and he doesn't get enough credit for the athlete that he is, and that his bat is elite. And it got caught up because of the talented players that the Orioles already had. And when he came up last year, one comment I got from people was, well, why? I thought he had all this power. Why wasn't he showing the power? And I'm like, well, he wasn't playing every day. And I said, it was a lot closer. He had about 3 home runs that were about 3 feet or less from going over the fence. He just hit missiles off the wall. And one thing he did less of last year when I broke him down, and you're seeing a lot of that, is it's a strength of his. When he uses right center, he is unbelievable as a hitter. And I mean unbelievable. And I did a breakdown before the season started, and I said, this will not shock me at all. And I expect Jordan to be close to leading the team or near the top in home runs, all offensive production, RBIs, whatever you want to call it. And right now, he's tied for the team lead in RBIs with 27. He's tied with Adley Rutschman for the team average, and he's tied third with home runs with 6. But the thing that I love the most about Westy, his demeanor stays here, and he has the ability then to rise to the occasion. And it's one thing to say, oh, you have ice in his veins. He's actually like an iceberg or Westberg, whatever the hell we want to give the nickname to him.
I like that.
The dude,
I like that.
We actually talked to Kowser about this when it was Kowser and Westberg on. And we're like, what the hell did we call you? And actually, there's a meme out there on Twitter or X where we have Jordan's face on an iceberg. And so you guys can go look that up. But
it sounds like a new Charleston t-shirt.
Yeah, we're wearing the Moon Man shirts. And Kowser loves all this. By the way, I'll find a way to get Kowser one of these shirts. He'll appreciate it.
You get one with like the iceberg and then a Titanic with the Yankees logo on it.
Oh boy, come on, man!
Trademark.
That's awesome.
Trademark.
But to close it out with my thought with it, Westberg's a guy that there's a reason why they traded Joey Ortiz away, is because they made a commitment that say he is going to be the guy that we want to move forward with. And I thought it was the right move. I love Joey Ortiz, but from the second I saw Jordan and watching him since then, I thought he was going to be a cornerstone for this team for the next 10 years. And so far, he's looked pretty damn good. He's an all-star type player right now.
And I'm not even trying to be funny when I say this. He looks identical to JJ Hardy.
Yeah,
the way he wears the flip-up shades and the mustache, like this. If he had the flavor saver, that would make it, spot on identical.
Yeah, and we said this before the season that Joey Ortiz was kind of like, we're like, man, like it would be nice to keep him, but he's kind of the odd man out right now, which kind of sucks. But I mean,
that's how I feel about Norby right now.
Yeah,
it could be.
He's just complete. There's not I can't think of anything he doesn't do well, or like I don't think there's anything he does poorly. He's got power, hits for average, has good at bats, good defensively. He can swipe a bag. He's like a blue collar.
He's like a blue collar player. Like he doesn't do anything flashy, but he does everything the right way. Like if you hit something hard at him, he's just gonna chest it up and throw it to first. Like he's not doing these crazy batting stances. Like he's just got a simple batting stance. It's very simple stroke. Like it's just everything is very bland, but everything is very good.
He feels like Baltimore. He is exactly what Baltimore is.
He's Dundalk.
He's Dundalk. There you go. He's Dundalk. Dang.
I don't know how long we have Ryan here, but I do want to talk about this upcoming week we have. We are home for the Blue Jays the next 3 days. Ryan actually on his show, on the Ryan Ripken Show, go check it out, had our friend Tim Meza on this morning, and we'll have him on our show tomorrow. But we want to talk a little bit about this Blue Jays matchup, a little bit of a rivalry that's developed the last couple of years. They're in last place in the division right now. They're 18-22, but 18-22 is just they're right on the cusp of 500 ball. What do you guys see upcoming in this matchup? We got Burns, Bradish, and Irvin starting.
I'm happy that we're avoiding Gossman. That he's been a stud, so that'll be nice. Yeah, the Blue Jays to me, and I mean I haven't watched a ton of them this year, but I've been seeing them on box scores. They've always kind of been, I've never really understood them. Like they've always had good talent, good pitching staff. I know Schneider is on the hot seat and gets a ton of heat from fans and media, so maybe he's the one holding them back. I don't follow them enough to know, but their lineup is always pretty deep. They just haven't put it together. Now, I mean, they did make the playoffs last year. I think they got swept. But they're, Buck used to always say when teams were struggling or when someone was struggling, like someone's going to pay, like they're going to break out at some point because they've just got too much talent. I hope it's not this week. I'm expecting it to not be this week, but I don't think they're a fifth place team all year. Now the division is stacked, so someone's going to have to finish fifth, but I mean, it wouldn't stun me if they got on a run and started playing better ball. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen this week, but I'm definitely intrigued to see how it plays out. They've got a good staff and it's 3 good pitching matchups.
Yeah.
Ryan, let's throw it to you because I know you got to run here soon.
Well, sure. I got a little extra time here, I think. So, but I'll say this, which surprising. The Blue Jays, I picked them to win the division last year in 23. So you look at them and you go, hey, that looks like the most complete team on paper, but this is why paper don't mean shit. And you got to go out there and play the game. And for Toronto, they haven't put it together, consistently haven't put it together. And I don't know if it's a telling sign or if you're a Blue Jays fan, you can be optimistic because they are bottom of the barrel, like 25th or below on the pitching and hitting side. So I believe hitting side, they're averaging 3.58 or so runs a game. Pitching, they are 25th in the league, I believe, in earned run average, runs per game as well. So you're sitting there going, damn, it makes sense why you're not doing well, but you're only 4 games under 500. And then the other shocking part of this all is that their star players aren't playing like stars and their other bench players aren't picking it up. So Vlad Guerrero Jr. started to get out of it and he's hitting the ball pretty well. But Dalton Varsho is their leading home run hitter on their team with 6. Springer and Bichette are just hovering at 200 right now, hitting. And so you're looking at that and going, if this Blue Jays team is going to have success, you're saying someone's got to step up, but multiple guys that they need to be constant aren't succeeding. Now, the pitching staff is supposed to be their strength, specifically their starters. Their bullpen has been atrocious this year so far. And, it only takes one series, one game, 1 week to get back, like you guys have talked about. But when you're looking at this, the Blue Jays are really going to have to find a way to score runs, something that has been a big struggle. Now, I know Bo Bichette is a guy that can catch lightning in a bottle, no doubt about that. But the biggest thing is probably going to be, if the strength right now for pitching is this Blue Jays starting rotation and Berrios is going and Kikuchi is going, you got to try to get ahead and hope your bullpen can withstand the gauntlet of the Orioles lineup. I think the Orioles lineup is the deepest in baseball. The Dodgers and Braves, rightfully so, lineups are disgusting. But 1 through 9 for Baltimore, they can terrorize you. The fact that Jordan Westburg and Colton Cowser for the longest time were hitting 7-8 in that lineup is terrifying. And so I think that it's advantage Baltimore if you're able to put up runs early, or it's close late in games. You got to feel good and comfortable with what Baltimore has done compared to what Toronto hasn't.
Honestly, I feel good as a Baltimore fan against anybody at the moment, in any situation, really. But like you said, and Ryan had Tim, friend of the show, Tim Mays on yesterday. We'll have him on tomorrow. He hasn't been himself this year, and he'll be the first one to admit it as well. Bullpen reliever guy. And it's just, hopefully it's a matter, well, not hopefully. I told Tim, I was like, I'm only going to root for you unless you're playing the Orioles. But eventually we have to think, like, they were one of the top bullpens in baseball last year. They're going to turn it around. They're not too terribly different. the starting pitching, and we talked about this last week. Alex Manoah is, I mean, I think he stinks, to be honest with you. I think that first season where he was electric was kind of a fluke, and 2 seasons, whatever it was. I mean, I've watched him the last couple of years, and I'm like, his stuff just does not look good to me. And I'm sorry to say it, but like, it just doesn't look like major league stuff to me. And I'm whether it's his location, his stuff, actually, whatever it does, it just everything just does not look great to me. So I think, I mean, this could be a sweep just the way they're not really playing that well. But again, like, I'll take the Orioles against anybody right now, and. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the bullpen ad nauseum. Like, I don't care. I think we could put up 10 runs a game against these guys.
One thing
I like how
just my opinion.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian. You go.
I like how adaptable our lineup is. You could really, I mean, you could put Atley at 8.
Yep.
And then you could put Westberg at 2 or lead off. Like, I just love how adaptable we are. Our lineup is so scary. And like Brooks just said, and we've all kind of agreed upon, we're terrifying the teams.
Yeah. One thing I do want to ask Ryan before he has to go. So this break we have on Thursday, we have two sets of games this week, 3 against the Blue Jays, and then we have a day off, and then we have 3 against the Mariners. So we're off Thursday. It's the last day off before a run of 13 games. Do you think the players are aware of that kind of thing, or do they circle that on the schedule before the season maybe? And how does that grind go for a player?
Well, I think honestly, if you're hot, you want to play every damn day. You don't want an off day. If you are struggling, you can't wait for the off day. I think right now it's early, so they're probably not feeling it. I really honestly think when June hits and they have one off day scheduled for June, and that's really this is kind of like hey, like, let's get you prepped for this. You know, like, let's see how you do with the first stretch of games here. But then once you get to June, that's where it's really going to sink in. How do your legs feel? How does your body feel? And how's that arm where you're going to be put to the test? So I think it's still too early for them to think right now. It's honestly, when I remember having the off day, it's just like, dang, this is nice if I wasn't doing well. If I was doing well, it's like, damn, I don't want to lose that hot streak, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll tell you what, after the Reds game, the Orioles are going, damn, we just swept the Reds and we're feeling good. And then they faced the Nats and it looked like that they hadn't played in a week, you know? And that's just the reality of it. So it's more about for guys staying in rhythm at this point, to be honest. And, you know, but I'll tell you what, playing all those days in a row, at least it's in June where it's not supposed to be so damn hot, but it's a tough schedule when you look at it. They got a really, really tough schedule. And I think that's where guys really, you're going to figure out how your body's feeling and then realize, well, shit, after that month, we still got July, August, September, and then the real race fully begins. And I think that's the crazy thing. It's May 13th and they're about to start this 13 games. And then they still, they're 26 and 13.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's right.
They got 39 games down. They got 123 to go.
Yep.
Boys,
we got 2 months. We got 2 months to the All-Star break, guys.
But before we have to kill this, I want to ask Ryan a couple questions. Removing your father's involvement.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite part about the new ownership?
Well, that wasn't even my favorite part about it, you know. That was him being involved. On that side, I am happy for him personally because I know it's how much he means to the team. But what I love is that David Rubenstein's passion and enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Mike Arrighetti with the team. Haven't had a chance to meet Mike yet. I'm going to have a chance to talk with him in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But David, what you see with him interacting with people is how he is. Like that's not no bull. That's not faking. He's from Baltimore. He understands the people. He loves the community. And I think it's so crazy. This is not a baseball owners thing. I just think this is sports in general, or even business in general. How many times do you see a guy that constantly wants to be in the thick of it every chance he can get? And he even says, I want to show Birdland that I want this just as much as you guys want it. And so I think that's been the cool part is that he's entrenched in it. He believes in it. He knows it's exciting. and he's fully invested in it. Now, I'm curious what everything will look like in the next couple of years when it comes to contracts and what you're going to do with renovations or what you're going to do with putting your fingerprints the way that you want to. I think that's the part that's appealing. But I think what he wants the fans and community to know is that he wants them to know how much he appreciates them. And this has been 40 years since the team is 41, since they won a World Series. And he wants them to know that we are all in it together.
And this is a personal opinion, boys. You guys can chime in whenever you want. It seems like if we bought the team, we would run it like he is. Like we want to be a kid again.
Yeah.
And just enjoy being an Oriole fan.
Oh, no doubt.
And that's what I see when I see him slapping hands and throwing hats and spraying people. And, you know, it just seems like it would be me owning the team. And that makes me feel very happy.
When are we going to get a Ripken splash debut?
Either horse time.
I'm afraid because I don't want to mess up. I think actually Cole Irvin was saying, I had him on the other day. He's like, yeah, Adam Jones did it. Adam can't do it again because we were terrible. Like we didn't hit.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to be that guy. Just like Rocco DeSangro, who does work with me and does as a sports anchor for Fox 45. He told Cole, like, man, you've done something you've never done before, man. You've 3 straight scoreless innings. I'm like, Rocco,
come on, man.
Kindly leave.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Can't do that.
Can't do that, man. And then Cole
Cole
gave it up for the home run, but at least Cole pitched well again and all of that. But the superstitions are there. If the opportunity presents itself,
it's jinxing the kicker, man.
It is.
Hell, he hasn't missed a free throw in 90 shots.
And I will give Rocco at least a little leeway here. Before Cole gave up the home run, the announcers even said Cole's on a great scoreless streak and blah blah blah. And it's like, you know what? All of you guys are on the plane. But yeah, to answer your question, if they want,
thank you, Apple announcers.
Woof. Yeah. If they want me to go out there for the splash zone, I am all about it. But as long as they win, I don't. If they lose and I'm out there, I'm out. I ain't being a part of it. Nope. And probably not for the City Connect nights because I think there's a worse chance of seeing success than not. Even though they won this past Friday, still a little bit on the fence. I'm superstitious, guys, with baseball.
All right.
I am. Creature of habit.
Next Ryan Ripken question. Who would win in a game of 1-on-1 between your father and you right now?
Me.
There you go, done.
Well, I mean, right now, but even 10 years ago, yeah, I'm still kicking his ass back then. I broke his nose when we played 1-on-1 one time. It was actually like one of the last times we played against each other. He guessed right on a spin move, and so I went back to my left, being a lefty, and he put his face down towards the ball, and I had my elbow high and just wham. Now, it was the 7th time he's broken his nose. It's his last time he's broken his nose. I had Matt Holliday on talking about the story with him, and he asked, he goes, did you feel bad about it? I go, no, not in the moment. Hell no. I said after it, but in the moment, Matt's like, yeah, I know it's that competitive edge. I'm like, yeah, you wanted to beat the shit out of your sons with the home run derby. And he's like, yeah, to show them who's boss still. And for my dad, it was like, you know what? I'm sorry about your nose, but you put your face down there, you're gonna get cooked. I'm smacking you. So I did.
Back in the day, was it you and Austin Knight versus your dad and his brother?
What for basketball? No.
Yeah, for basketball.
No, Austin and I would just come over and we would just smack balls down at the field, and then we actually had a weird way of picking up baseballs. We'd get like the Gator John Deere's and just go full speed and just lean out of the car and pick it up. That's what we really did. Yeah. Basketball. I love Austin, but I don't know if I'd be picking Austin to be my teammate for basketball. I don't know if that's his specialty. Baseball, though, hey, I'm all about Austin Knight.
Shout out Austin Knight.
Shout out Austin Knight. Love him.
Great ball player in the Baltimore area. I love that.
I got one more question for Ryan, then I'll answer the trivia question. If anyone has another guess, please, after this question. You got one pitcher, Game 7 of the World Series. Any era in their prime, who you got?
One pitcher, any era? Oh, gosh.
In their prime.
So it's like 9th inning, or you're starting the game?
You're starting the game.
Ooh.
This is your dog. This is your horse. This is who you want.
Oh, man.
That's a good question.
That's very
good. And everyone can chime in here. I'm going Pedro Martinez.
Oh.
Electrifying. That's mine.
Yeah.
That's an electrifying one.
Yeah, I'm going the big unit.
Unit?
Big lefty. Yeah,
gotcha.
Randy Johnson.
That's probably what I would do too.
All right. So we got 2 Pedros. We got 2 Randys.
Trying to think back to the 90s, early 2000s.
You can go Sandy Koufax if you want. You can go something crazy.
No, we're not.
I mean, we didn't watch him pitch though. You know, I mean, that's hard to say.
Like Kevin Millwood or Scott Erickson or
you go Buckle High Bud Norris. You know, like,
Joe Saunders.
Joe Saunders is a dog.
Yeah,
that wild card game was.
Yeah, I remember that.
Damn, that's tough. The one that sticks out, Randy, because that's like every pitcher's or hitter's nightmare is Randy Johnson and prime Randy Johnson.
Just that release. I mean, he's 54 feet away from you at the point.
Yeah, 7 feet. That like being a lefty too, I would shit myself. But you know,
John
he's 6'11" already. He's on top of a fucking mound,
and that's what I'm saying. John Kruk, Randy's like, yeah, I'm just gonna throw this over your head, but you're gonna be scared shitless. And it's like, that's me. I'd probably lean Randy in that situation. I just think it's just if he's on, I don't want any part of him, and I would trust him, no doubt.
Fair enough.
I thought somebody would go Clemens at least. But I do. I mean, I'm a Pedro guy.
Yeah, I'm a Pedro guy. That changeup was so dirty.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyone else want to give a guess to how many MVPs Babe Ruth won?
If nobody has it, my mom has been blowing up my phone. She has it.
All right. The answer to your question, or the answer to the question, is 1.
That's insane.
Apparently,
so
they
didn't have an
it.
official MVP until whatever year, like 1931. But he won the MVP whenever he could, whenever it was actually officially announced. Then, when you won the MVP, you were not allowed to win another MVP. So the year he hit 60 home runs, he got 0 MVP votes.
That seems right.
That's
what
great.
kind of rule is that?
What the hell is that shit?
Oh, I guess they were just trying to spread the love back in the day. They didn't want any Mike Trouts winning 3 or 4 MVPs in a short span.
I mean, the name of the award is Most Valuable Player.
So. Well, so hey, brought up that thing a few years ago with Ohtani versus Judge. Judge breaks the home run record, but everyone's saying Ohtani should have won it. Mm-hmm. Who's more valuable? Well, then you can see Aaron Judge missed a lot of time last year, and that lineup was awful.
Awful.
Yeah.
I'll say this year, 3 candidates in the AL. If you're a betting man for this, I don't put a bet down for baseball. I will give my opinions since we got a good sponsor up there at Hollywood Casino up in Charlestown. I said Gunnar was my pick to win for the American League, but I think you have 3 choices: Gunnar, Juan Soto, and if you want to do the dark horse, it would be Bobby Witt Jr. But I think 50-50, you get a flip of a coin, you pick Gunnar or Soto, I think you had a good chance to win.
I'll actually take Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, Bobby Witt's amazing.
He scares
amazing.
He scares the hell out of me every time he comes up the bat. I'd walk him.
And he's fast as hell too. He wants to steal bags. I mean, a lot of people steal bags against the Orioles. I guess that's maybe the Achilles heel is like, hey, we're running. But that's a whole different story.
Soto's probably going to win it because of that short right field porch.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I love Dean Kramer was my teammate too. Love Dino and that whole situation there. That was a monster shot. I was sitting there for that game. I was sitting there. I'm like, oh God, 3-2. I'm like, shit, there it is. There's the moon. Don't hit the moon.
There's the moon.
Don't hit the
moon. So Ryan, did I miss this? Did Dean say something publicly? I never heard this until like exactly where did this story come from?
It almost seemed like Soto just assumed that he didn't like the shuffle.
I
Kramer
think
didn't look like he said anything.
What are we talking about? Can we give context to this?
So when Soto hit the ball to Saturn on that one, then he stared down Dean to pimp it, and then when he rounded third base, stared at him again, and then in the dugout stared.
Okay.
Apparently, after the game, he said that Dean didn't like the shuffle, blah blah blah. I think Dean, when he pitches, Dean sometimes gives you a look of like, he might just be thinking "F you," but he doesn't. That's just like his resting face.
Okay.
And so he really wasn't paying attention or didn't care at all about it. So he didn't say a word. So Soto thought he said, was showing his displeasure. Dean didn't say anything. So of course, though, I text Dean and I'm like, "Did you mother F Soto?" And he goes, "Like, I didn't say anything. I know." I said, "I just wanted you to say something," but I said it's teammate on teammate crime for me, man. Like, you guys are both my teammates. And he's like, "Yeah, sick, dude. You hit an absolute bomb off me." Like,
I mean, it was a cock shot. He should have.
Yeah, 3-2 right down the missile,
right down the dick.
And Dean's like, "Yeah, it went a long way. We won the game. So hey now," and I'm like, "Hey, yeah, good for you, Dean. Cool. Proud of you."
I'll give up a solo shot every inning if you want. I mean,
yeah.
Who gives a shit?
I'll take 3 out of 4 from you.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It was just something where I was like, where did this story come from? But I mean, I gotta say, I do love the chip on the shoulder from Dean that he does that, because I've never noticed it, because probably the camera never catches it. But I mean, I love Soto, and I love the chip that he has and like the cockiness he has, because I think he wouldn't be the player that he is if he didn't have that. But
Dean gets pretty like sneaky fiery out there. I love it. He's not. I mean, I think that was probably an issue like early on when he was like he had a good start in his rookie year. Then that second year he was terrible and he was just like all over the place. But it seems like he's gotten much better at reeling the emotions in. But yeah, when he gets a big K or something happens, he lets it rip. I love it. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. This is for you. I mean, and because you have the ear of the team, or at least you get to hear a lot of the team. Do you feel like this team just has moxie and is pissed and just wants to win so damn bad because they've all grown up together?
Yeah, I think part of that, and we could say it's moxie, or it's just they just have such a confidence that whatever's going on, they're like, they believe they're just gonna win.
Yeah.
And so down in spring training, for instance, and you're dealing with the unpredictability of Kyle Bradish and John Means and what's gonna happen. They're like, yeah, we're fine. We'll be okay. Last year when Felix Bautista went down, I know what happened in the playoffs, but like, is the team going to fall off now? Yeah. They're like, we'll be okay. Like, they firmly believe the cliche, and it's corny, and next man up. But they're like, yeah, whoever we have confidence they're going to play well.
Okay.
Like, we can plug and play anybody in, and we're going to just beat you. Oh, you're up 4 runs on us? We're going to come back and beat you. Like, the amount of times they came back last year, I think that's what terrifies teams now, is that they needed to figure out last year if they could do it, and then they figured out they can, and then they figured out how good they can be. And I think now they're just like, the expectation is we're going to go and whoop your ass every night.
Mm-hmm.
And if we lose, we're not going to sulk about it. We're going to come back and whoop your ass the next night. So that's why I look at this team. The biggest compliment I can give them is that they can wash away any bullshit just like that. So like, people can look at how bad that Oakland A's finish series was and going, oh, they lost 2 games, 2 or 3. All right, well, how did they bounce back? Took 3 or 4 from the Yankees, right? You go to Cincinnati and you take all 3. Oh, you have to lay a dud versus the Nats. Okay, how do you bounce back? You go into that, you take the lead. Oh, wait, you give it up. All momentum's to the Nats. Oh, and then you take their heart out again. So, like, and you were talking about adversity. I think this is why they're so good, is that they have been put in so many different scenarios that they don't feel uncomfortable with whatever it is. And I think that's a part that's going to help them this year. And you're right, the adversity matters to them. And now the thing is, though, when you get to the postseason, are you going to be ready when the stakes are the highest that you can keep those emotions? That's the one thing that they didn't have. They didn't have enough playoff experience last year, and their insides were running. It didn't help that the Rangers were the hottest team to ever play on the road in the postseason.
Yeah,
and we were cold going in too, and they were the hottest team going in. Them in Arizona, probably.
Yeah, Garcia then also built in a lab potentially, just like strongest dude, and anything he hit was gone. It was like, holy hell, man! Like, and then Seager got going. It's like, what do you do? Corey Seager, he was supposed to be my roommate freshman year, and then he had the audacity to sign with the Dodgers. Turned out well.
Should have been your roommate. You should have stabbed him in the heart.
How dare
but
it worked out pretty well for Kyle.
I did see the lineup. The lineup just came out for tonight. I don't know if anyone saw. Pretty standard against the righty lineup. Mullins is back in center. Mateo at second.
Right before we started this pod, we found out that Kyle Stowers will be coming up. Heston Kierstad is going to be going down A lot of people, I'm sure, on Twitter are going to be upset that it's not McKenna, but he is out of options. Kierstead does have options left, so this is why that's probably happening. We're expecting Austin Hayes back later this week. We're expecting Grayson Rodriguez back soon. So we've got a lot of shuffling that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. So,
well, Ryan, as I sit here and listen to you talk, what's your biggest fear about the team? Like what scares you?
I think
we've been talking positive about the team so much.
I'm super positive in all the sense. I think for me, it's just what worries me is more so of guys. It really is understanding what your roles are going to be when it gets to crunch time in the postseason. That's what I'm talking about, where I think you need to figure out the high stress situations, because last year, even right now, what's the only position before Kimbrel's situation right now? It was Batista was the closer last year. Then Cano became the setup guy, but then no one else knew what their role was. So it was like, hey, Jacob Webb could be in the 5th inning or 6th inning. Bauman could be. Oh, Perez could. Aiken could. Heck, Cano could even be in that situation. I think that's kind of the biggest concern I have for me, is that the playoffs is a different breed, and it's so unpredictable. Are you going to be okay with whatever situation you're going to be put in? Because I think the guys last year were comfortable, but they weren't comfortable enough when they got to the postseason, in my opinion. And so I thought Bradish pitched well. Grayson got off to a rough start, but everything else, there just was this uncomfortability with it. But there's not a lot that really concerns me talent-wise. I don't think there's a team that is better than them in the American League. But you got to be okay with whatever's going to be thrown at you. And if you're going to be a top team and you got to have a bye again, you're going to have to deal with a team like the Rangers again. Like there's going to be a hot team. How do you stop it? And that's really only my concern, is just can you understand your roles in the bullpen, really?
And I want to bring up another thing that we talked about last week on the podcast was, do you think frustration will set in with some guys who aren't getting enough time because we have an embarrassment of riches?
I think that they learned last year. Westberg and Cowser learned last year. This is, I think, an interesting conversation, is that when you're in the minors, and you're a top prospect, a couple things happen here. One, you're playing every day. You're probably hitting top of the order. Or if you're a pitcher, you're the guy. And then everyone tells you how good you are. You're like, you are great. You are unbelievable. And then you get to the big leagues and you realize, well, these guys are pretty damn good. And it's humbling, because you are no longer the guy in the minors. You have to be one of the guys in the big leagues. So for Cowser, going from playing every day to then figuring out your role, and Westberg even said that, he goes, that was the hardest thing for me, wasn't playing every day. How do you stay ready? And how do you help the team? And that messes with you. I mean, Cowser was talking about how, and I saw it from him and I knew it. And you could even go back and look at his at-bats this year to the last year. He didn't know how to sit for days and then still be the aggressive Colton Cowser in the batter's box. He didn't know how to feel comfortable, and it showed. He didn't play well when he did, got sent down. Westberg changed his mindset, so did Cowser. So for the guys coming up, you got to realize you are no longer the dude anymore. You got to figure it out. And Grayson, for example, could get away with mistakes in the minors. He couldn't get away with throwing a 98-mile-an-hour heater right down the cock. He just couldn't. And his problem when he got lit up was not stuff. It was the ability to locate when you have to. And the thing that I didn't like last year for him is he went away from his weapon, which is his fastball. But everything gets magnified in the big leagues. And Tim Asa will probably tell you that too. Like, talking to him, if you are not particular with how you got to approach people, they will make you pay. The good ones make you pay. In the American League East, you do not have much room at all to battle it. So I think it's all good, but that's why I feel like Jackson. That's why I felt bad about Jackson Holiday. Was everyone thought that he was going to be just as good as Gunnar Henderson now? And I'm like, Gunner's an MVP candidate. Jackson's 20 years old. He struggled. He was hitting 170 midway through May. Hell, my dad was hitting 103 in May his rookie year. He went 3 for 5, and he was like, man, I'm good. And then it was like, hey, well, guess what, Calvin? reality check. He went 4 for his next like 64 or whatever the number was. And it's a reminder, baseball is going to humble you.
Yeah,
for the game,
but I mean, your dad stunk. So
he did.
Also,
he wasn't very good.
Never figured it out.
Also, so breaking news real quick before we hop off here, and I know Ryan.
Yeah, you got to roll on that.
Yeah,
he's
right
gotta
now.
go.
Yeah, I
It's all
got you.
good. It's all good.
Rock Kabaka retweeted by Zach Ballinger from the Ryan Ripken show. McKenna was just DFA'd because they're recalling Hayes here, starting to feel healthy. So that just broke through. I saw our group chat sent it through, and then Rock and Zach Ballinger just sent it out as well. McKenna just got DFA'd, so we'll see if he makes it through waivers. Probably not. I would assume Cincinnati or Milburn said, somebody like Seattle might pick him up as well.
I think Cincinnati should pick him up because he just smoked them. I mean, they just
take saw him.
back.
Yeah, they just saw him. So, just wanted to mention that before we go. But yeah,
right.
let's get out of here because Ryan.
Yeah, let's get Ryan out of here. Ryan, thank you very much for your
go.
time, man. Much appreciated, dude. Very much appreciated.
I apologize about my schedule and stuff, but this is great. Man. It's a lot of fun. You guys know.
No need
out to me. I know, but I feel bad. But I promise. I like to do stuff like this. It's fun.
If we could do it again, it'd be fantastic.
Oh, we can definitely do that again. Yeah. I can even, if you want me to come over to the Chaucer,
whatever you want to do, man. Whatever you want to do. But I mean, I like
check out Ryan Ripken's show.
A lot more.
Well, if you guys all want to, we can do it here. We got the space here. We can play NBA Jam. I can take someone to the cleaners.
Well, when these two huckleberries from Ocean City and Indianapolis get over here, maybe we can all come over here and do it together. That'd be a phenomenal time.
Yeah, man. We'll get it all together. Yeah. It's a fun time. It's a fun time. The thing that what I love about this is the community. People love Baltimore, 1 and 2. They're really excited about the team. So if we got a chance to talk about the community, work with people that have the same passion, and then enjoy it along the way, hell yeah, why not do it? So do it.
If you guys ever want to come over here, I'm not inviting you. It's Ryan's space, but I want to say one thing. He took over our friend Christian Castro's studio, who unfortunately passed away. Him and I played in the golf tournament last Monday, and it was an awesome setup, and this is an awesome setup. And so that would be great if we could all get over here and just hang out and have a good time, talk some more sports.
Well, that's the thing too. We want to make this a living studio, and for Christian, that's the thing is I'm coming into the space. Like I told you, Brian, is Brad, who also worked with Christian, he gave me the opportunity to come in here because he said, hey, I like what you're doing and I want to help you out. And when we came in here, and Brad's what he was saying, he goes, but this has history in this place.
Yeah.
And you can see it. We talked about it. You guys can't see it on the camera. Yeah. But I'm a big guy that I love to keep things and remind of where things started for things. So we got what's the correct way to describe it? The bones of the studio stay. Yeah. And so that's the fun part of this. So whoever comes in is going to see exactly what we're talking about. So you guys make the trip up here and we'll make it happen. Deal?
It's awesome.
Hell yeah.
We certainly will.
Man. It's a deal. I appreciate that.
That's a wrap. Let's wrap it up. Check out the Ryan Ripken show. It's one of the best. It's probably the best Orioles show on anywhere on the internet. Yeah. Check out the Chaucer, Pig and Rooster. Thank you to Foy for coming on. Obviously, thank you, Ryan, for coming on.
Yes.
We'll have Tim Meza on tomorrow. Another one of my college teammates that we're going to try to get on here probably in about a month here for the Astros when they're in town is Chaz McCormick. We'll try to get him to stop by Ryan's studio as well. So thanks for stopping by, and hope you guys enjoyed this one.
Yeah, go Birds. Happy
Go
Monday.
Birds. Go Birds, baby. See you boys. Be good, man.
Cheers, y'all.